Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to PCM21 Career Mode. We're on episode 95, and we are ready to kick off our second ever trip to the Giro d'Italia. Before we get into that, let's recap what's happened throughout the series at this point in the Giro. Of course, in real life, in 2020, it was Gegenhardt who took the win, and for Gegenhardt, it was a pretty weak field. I mean, you look at this top 10, and it was a really weak field, especially on those who finished the race. There were some better riders who didn't finish, but that always happens. There's always one or two top 10 riders that don't finish in a Grand Tour. So that's bound to happen. You can see Bilbao, Fuglsang, and Nibali have all retired since then. In 21, it was Vlasov who claimed the win ahead of a now retired Geraint Thomas. Leonard Kamna taking third. Martinez and Moss are your top five. Interesting profile. Vlasov does look like somebody who could eventually win a Grand Tour. Maybe not a Tour de France, but a Grand Tour. One of the other two. I could see that happening. Almeida all the way down in 8th, surprisingly, as good as they are. In 22, Vlasov won again, back-to-back, ahead of Hugh Carthy and Miguel Angel Lopez. That looks like a pretty good top 3. Quintana getting 5th for Arkea is probably a good result for him and the team. Almeida again down in 8th, surprising how low they were. In 23, Almeida, this is why I kept mentioning the name, Almeida claims the win in 23. Again ahead of Hugh Carthy. Caruso in the top 3. Kamna again. In 24, it was Adam Yates who claimed the win for RTL, and RTL's been really good the last few years. Brandon McNulty and Tobias Foss. And then we had our first appearance in 2025. And we won with Alexei Berlakov, but he's no longer with the team. Now, since then, Rigoberto Uran has now retired, so that was one top 10 who's out. Mataway should not be a top 10 kind of guy. And so I think your cutoff for competitors really ended at Brandon McNulty in your top 8. Haig, Vingegaard, Ciccone, Hindley, Carapaz, Deplus, and Berlakov on top. Now, Deplus was one of those plus 5s all day, every day, and good. And the objective. Karaman down at 11th. Of course, if he wasn't working for Berlakov, I think he probably would have been 9th, maybe 7th. This year, I'm targeting a top 5. I just don't think we're going to defend without Berlakov, with Karaman as the main guy. I don't think he's that good. He's that strong. He was supporting Berlakov a year ago, and I don't think he's ready to take over. And I definitely think the team is weaker without Berlakov. We just removed that top layer, and that layer below it, we've seen very small improvements, but that layer below it has not climbed, right, to replace Berlakov. It's only gone up a little bit. So I think we're definitely missing Berlakov, and I don't think we're going to be in a position to repeat. But let's see what we can do with this race. And we kick off with the Giro d'Italia. It's stage number 1. There are 3 time trials for this one. This one, essentially a prologue at just shy of 10K. Certainly compared to the other two, it would be considered a prologue. I know it's more than the 5K window, but what we have now is a flat for the majority of it time trial, and then right at the end you've got a decent hill. It's not super steep, but it's definitely a hill. So what I'm finding so far through trial and error with Ryabovas, Kwiatkowski, and Narbutas, who've already gone, that you got to start on 86 for 2 to 3 kilometers, and then you can push on from there. You get to that 87, push that a little bit harder, and then on the hill itself, you push that a little bit harder still, and that seems to be the best use for time. As we cross line in 8th place, 21 seconds down for Martin Guerrero. That's good. That's a competitive time. For somebody who's got a 78 mountain, though, I don't think he's going to perform terribly well in the overall. Is he going to be good enough to be 11th this year? Probably not. Based on his normal race day condition issues, he's going to struggle. In fact, he had a -1 race condition today. Draw. It was a 0, but he's got a +1 for the objective. None of my 8 riders, with all 8 of them having an objective for this race, none of them have started their fitness peaks yet. Many of them will not start it at all, or not until very late in the race. So that part, disappointing. We're not going to have much support. Karaman, he might have it last 4 stages or so. Luca ready to kick off. Next one. Let's see if we can get this right a little bit sooner. I think waiting till the 6K mark was a little late on getting that just right. I want to go at about 6.5, almost 7. All right. We up to the 87 at, I think that was 6.6, 6.7. Right around there is where I rolled up. Let's see if that balances out. Gets you to the finish on that 87. That increased effort. I want more effort on the climb because that's where more time could be gained or lost. But you still need to balance the overall. You need to go as fast as you can for as long as you can. And that's why I start just that little bit weaker at that 86 to save it. You run through it a little more quickly on the hill. So you don't want to overdo it there either, as it does drain ultimately faster. So now 400 meters, and we are very much coming up on the end, and we attack the last 100 meters. 14th, 22, even though he's not a great climber and just okay with the time trial, that's another good time. Everybody's got a good time. I mean, we're all inside the top 25 right now within 29 seconds of the overall lead. Now, the only unfortunate part on that is Danny Martinez is the overall leader right now. That's a really good time for him. A combined -8 for Gonzalez Albiol and Isakov destroyed their hopes, destroyed their time. Karaman, the only one who even got a +1. Ryabovas, Kukovci, Narbutas had, I think there was another +1 in there. One of those 3 guys, or 2 of those guys, had +1s. Mark Guerrero was a 0. I think the other one was a 0. Luca was a 0. Isakov and Gonzalez Albiol, -8. Karaman +1. As a team, we got a terrible race day condition. And it's beautiful weather. Usually the weather, is the kind of days where you get those bad draws. Yeah, not this time. Not today. We just straight up had awful condition throughout this race, and that hurt. But at least our leader, Karaman, does get a +1. So that gives him 82 on the mountain. That gives him 78 on the prologue. And we're going to attack these final 500 meters. Trying to make up some time here. And 99 to the finish line. And that is 13th, 15 seconds down. I'll take that. That's pretty good. In fact, that is the best on the entirety of the team. Still some more riders to go, though. And Brandon McNulty is going to claim the victory over Tobias Foss, and then Danny Martinez slips to 3rd after leading for a very long time. You can see Gegenhardt is up there. Vingegaard is up there. Those are some of the contenders we're going to have to watch out for. And Brandon McNulty already wearing pink, but he's going to be in the first pink jersey. I'm already pushing forward to stage number 4. Reason being is we have 2 flat stages following that opening stage. But this is the profile that we're dealing with for this Giro. Barely punchy, but it's definitely a finishing punchy climb. 3.6K at 5%. Puncher's day. Stage 5 though, first mountain stage. 6 punchy, but really all you got to do is survive 1 climb. That's not hard. 137K though. That climb's going to be pushing. It's going to be booking. 7, definitely a mountain stage with a descent finish. I like those. I tend to do fairly well at those. Another sprint stage. No, not sprint stage. There's enough undulation there to officially call that a punchy stage, not just on paper. Sprint, punchy, small group, but I still think that's going to come down to a sprint. Sprint, just 2 little hills. A lot of sprint stages here. 14, 32K time trial with one solid hill at the beginning and then one gradual hill in the last sector. 15, 4 climbs, but only one big one. 16, punchy for sure. 17, 2 big mountains followed by a small and then slightly okay-ish mountain at the end. 4 climbs here, but one really big one that's going to decimate the field. But then you're not done yet. You still have a good almost 40 kilometers left to go. 19's flat. 20, 3 climbs back to back to back. That's going to do a lot of damage. 182K and that gradual Cat 2. That's going to take a lot out before we ever get to the next 2 climbs. Short descents means short recovery as well. And finally, 21, 16 kilometer time trial to wrap things up. Not the hardest profile by any means. This is an easier Giro. And definitely favors time trialists with 3 time trials, 3 opportunities to really, really put some time between you and the non-time trialists. And not a whole lot of decisive climbs where we're going to see more than a handful of seconds in between climbers. Therefore, a strong time trialist, that's a very good climber, absolutely the favorite for this one. Berlikov, if he were here, which I haven't seen him, but that doesn't mean he's not here. If Berlikov were here, he would struggle to win this. Stage 4, just finishing with that small punchy climb, is going to be really fast, and it's going to be hard to not lose a few seconds to some of those better punchers. My expected race day condition today is a +10. I have all 8 riders on the objective, and Kyakovchi is the first rider to have picked up a fitness peak, so he was expected +3, so add 2 on to 8, and you're looking at +10, which is exactly what we have. We got our expected race day condition. It's been a while. At least it feels like it has. Okay, 20K. Guess who has red, though? The one rider who has a -1, who had a -2 draw or worse. Yeah, Martin Guerrero. Also having a negative draw for the day, Karaman, -1 only, but still, the 2 leaders combined drawing for a -3. So
only 10 kilometers left.
Right. Okay, 10K to go. Let's push. We ride for Karaman. That's the definite. That's the obvious. I want Martin Guerrero on his wheel, though. We'll preserve his time. I don't need the full team, especially with only 10K to go. Luco looks pretty good. Punchy. Gonzalez Albiol is not punchy, so we will not use him or Isakov. Plus, they already lost significant time. Kyakovchi looks like a good lead-out kind of rider for the day. As does Ryabovis. Ryabovis also having really excellent resistance. Looking at these guys, Luco is the other one we want to get involved. There's your proper lead out for the climb. These guys are going to get used up first. Let's use up our kind of reverse order of who's most useful down the road. Gel's on the first 3. We're going to be going hard and fast immediately. Barbutas, pull out front. Last little uphill section. That's actually good because that gives us a chance to do something here. And it's 8K to go. Barbutas, use your sprint, please. 0 sprint, but we're seeing a hard sprint from somebody there. This is stopping that counter.
Anyone that's low on gas definitely won't be able to
Push a little bit harder. Barbutas, please. That's going to be gel for everyone at this time. And we are on to Isakov, who's going... At this point, 4K to go. This is sprint territory the entire way. Maybe. Maybe. We'll see. Barbutas, get on the tail end, try to break off any toe. That's going to take that little bit of damage, but we're already down to 2.5K, so you might as well just push. Okay. Gonzalez Albiol. $1.6K to go. These guys recovering a little bit of red bar, which is what I was kind of waiting on. Okay, Luco. Okay, flat sprint from here. Kikovji. Okay, Ryabovas. 800 meters. Come on, come on, keep pushing, keep pushing. And then Karaman. Can we do enough to get in the top 3? I really thought we were going to get dropped here. We did not, though you get a slight gap for Hagita. Hagita with the win. Too fast, too strong. Gegenhardt gets 3rd, so he gains a few seconds. Vingegaard, Foss, Karaman 6th, and Ryabovas 7th. I would love to see some sort of gaps shortly behind us, but it looks like pretty much the entire group is intact other than Hagita. Small chance of a gap right there, but I doubt it. Looks like the field's intact. So Hagita gains 7 seconds, so he picks that up. But actually, that is a bit of a threat. 81 mountains, 78 hills. Not a good time trialist, though, so that is one thing to keep in mind for later. But he certainly gained 10 plus 7, so 17 seconds picked up for him. That's important. We do see a gap, though, behind 23rd. 31 seconds down. That's 24 seconds lost to anyone who was back there. So now, looking at the standings, it's starting to change. Hagita has taken the race lead from that effort. McNulty is 2nd. Gegenhardt 3rd. Foss is 4th. Bjerg, Vingegaard, Delrue. So a couple of time trialist specialists ahead of us still. And then Karaman is 8th. So right now, you'd say we're 6th. Based on what you have there in terms of contenders, Karaman sits 6th, 22 seconds down. Martin Guerrero in 10th. That's a good spot for him to be in. Ryabovas, Kikovji, all up in the top 16. So stage 5 brings us to our first climbing stage. I'm going to be leaning forward a lot during this one because, you know, you've all seen this before, that I get my little quarter of my window, but my window sill is full of stuff, so I can't put my blind down any further. But anyway, the breakaway never was given a chance today. 7 riders rode their butts off to no avail. They went as hard for as long as they could and never were given freedom. They never got a 2-minute gap. The field has been chasing them for the last 75, 80 kilometers. That just now was the lowest tempo we've seen. But you can see Luco, done. He's on a -1. And that was enough to really, really wipe him out. Also, our weakest climber here. We have good race day condition overall as a team, but Karaman again on a 0. So he again got that -1 draw today. And we've seen a few guys go up the road. At the moment, they aren't too worried about these 3 guys that are away. But of course, they're all solo pushing to get to the top of this climb. So no wonder it's not a big deal. But at 3.5 minutes, it's not going to be the easiest chase. But considering how hard we've been pushing, there's bound to be some fatigue in the legs. And that's almost a good thing because we only have the 1 climb here. And if there is fatigue in the legs, well, Karaman, Scott, Martin Guerrero, Gonzalez Albiol all look pretty good. And outside of 1 rider, the rest of my team is hanging in there just fine. If the other teams have been riding alone and not protecting each other, there's going to be a little additional fatigue in a lot of these guys. So I'd love to see us begin chasing this group down pretty hard. And what is that? Alps and Phoenix, who currently lead through Hagita, finally take up the chase, doing their duty for the first time. They've already brought it back to 3.5 minutes. Those guys dug deep to break away, dug deep to get over that climb first, did it on a climb. They're not going to have a lot of energy, and we'll catch back up pretty quick. You can see at 2.5 minutes already. We have 1 more rolling hill to get through before we get into that final climb, and then of course I'm going to have to up my effort, but unfortunately they're not chasing very hard. Luco is recovering, which means a lot of the guys in the field are recovering too, and that goes against what I wanted to see. But let's go ahead and up that effort for this climb to come, and we'll set ourselves up for the final climb. Now, preparing for that final climb, because I know there's not going to be much action here, we've got 17K at 7% with a max of 10. It flattens out a little bit near the top, and then it goes up again right towards the finish. It eases off just a little bit towards the finish line. The first 6-7K aren't too bad before it kind of ramps up a bit, but a lot of the difficulty is coming at and near the end. Ciccone, Vingegaard. These are top 10 type contenders that are attacking. Hagita trying to respond. For me, this is not the climb that I'm interested in. It's the next one. At the moment, we see 14 riders gain a gap, but it is being chased. 15 riders gain a gap. This is the be patient edition of the Giro. This is actually good news. Look how much fatigue there is. Now, Luco, he's done. He's out, which means we need to protect Karaman. Let's get our Butas on that task. Actually, you know what? Who do I want? Martin Guerrero can... Isakov can ride solo. Who is protecting you? Narbutas. Isakov, go ahead and protect Karaman. The bad news here is Luco. Narbutas is going to try to drop to get water. Stop. Get out of here. He's going to go all the way to the back of this Peloton. Get yourself out of the Peloton, please. Thank you. Alright. Now you can go auto. Narbutas, now you can get water right where you're at. Yes? Come on. Raise that hand. Raise that hand. Stop dropping to the back. Okay, he's got the water. Now he's coming forward. That was a smart move because we are already approaching the climb. Narbutas, I'm trying to help him through here, and it's not going so well at the moment. Is he even going to make it? Let's use his gel. 159. That front group has already been caught. I meant to do it in between the last two climbs. I forgot about the water. Isakov, Karaman, the only ones left on the water, and we're at least going to get Karaman taken care of. Isakov, yes. Okay. He is back to try to protect Isakov. And we're seeing an attack already. Dang. Let's up the effort on these guys. Can't afford to be slipping backwards too fast here on this climb. 13K to go. Need to keep this team near the front. 4 riders have attacked. Okay, Ryabovis and Kikovci gel. Let's figure out who has attacked and gotten off the front. Right now, Store Del Rue chasing. It's Paulus. 81 Mountain, we gotta watch out for it, but he's 3.5 minutes down. Colioni, gotta watch out for that one. Ciccone, definitely gotta watch out for. And Vingegaard. So, that's an early move by possible contenders, like outside contenders.
The group is slowly thinning out due to such a frantic pace.
Down to 110.
The escapees have surrendered. The pack gave them no chance. Things are
Okay, Narbutas is gone, right? Yes. Set him to auto. And that's Luco. So, Narbutas was protecting, for the moment, Karaman. Let's go ahead and fix that. That's going to be Isakov now. Okay, it's down to 2 riders away as they've pulled back 2 of them. But again, another group escaping off the front, including Hagita. 10K to go. Still practicing patience. The chase is still coming on pretty hard. Okay, Isakov, I'm going to use your gel. Narbutas has been dropped. Ryabovis, we're down to 49. Ryabovis is fading. Kikovci is fading. Where are they at now?
Attacked by Vingegaard.
Set them both to auto. Right now we're at 81, but that's going to not be the case in a second. There you go, it's 32. Chasing 3. 4 riders, 8.5K. And a big move. This move, we're seeing an entire, like, 15 contenders all trying to break away right now. It's 8K. I don't want to go right now. We don't have much of a choice, though. Do not have a choice. So, Isakov, start chasing. Okay, they set up already, but we're still a little bit far down anyway, so go ahead and ease on forward. 5 riders off the front. That's kind of the reason for this. There's going to be this easier terrain coming up. So even though we have 7K to go, there's not as much left to do as you would think. And it's back together. 26 riders, now 23. Very much a small group, but we are at the tail end of it. Karaman actually considered to be in the back. And yes, we very much are in the back. 20 riders. 5.8K. Okay, here comes the easier terrain. 18 riders now. Foss, Hagita, Delru, and Carthy attacking. And it's 13 chasing 4. We do not have a whole lot left in the tank to try to push, though. Remember, we are not racing ultimately for the win. We are racing for survival. Okay, Carthy getting dropped. Delru has been dropped. 2.7. And it's a very small chase group right now. Gonzalez Albiol bringing it in within 2 kilometers. He's caught Delru. There's Hagita. There's Foss. And 1.7, Karaman. It's a group of 4 chasing 2. This is already really, really good stuff here. We could get Quintana dropped if Gonzalez Albiol sits up a little bit and loses contact, and he does. Now he'll try to sit on. Karaman pushing last 800 meters. Not going to do terribly well, but he's not far behind. Speed it up to the end. Delru takes the win. Hagita, Foss, Karaman gets 4th. Quintana, Gonzalez Albiol. No time bonus for Karaman. Not really the point here. It was about overall time gained or lost. A lot of guys losing tons of time. Martin Guerrero finished 11th on the stage. Vingegaard, Ciccone were there behind. Their early move did not pay off. Martinez, Paulus losing lots of time. Those guys definitely could have been considered contenders. And here are the time gaps as given. A little bigger than I thought. Delru sped past Hagita and Foss right at the end. They, like me, were totally out of energy. I didn't think they were that far ahead of me, but auto climb, yeah, I guess that makes a lot of sense. So Delru, who was with me, gains 30 seconds right at the end. 82 mountain, 73 resistance, and had the ability to push on. He rode our wheel for a little bit right there, and then took off. Meanwhile, I was just trying to minimize the gap to Hagita and Foss. Wasn't thinking about saving something for the final sprint. He did, and it paid off for him. But 4th on the stage is good. Quintana, Gonzalez Albiol at 48 down. Bokanoge, Bokanoge, 117 with Carthy, Coglione, Vine at 136, 148 to Martin Guerrero. Pretty good gaps, and I don't think we have another mountain stage for a little while. So this is going to really set at least the early GC for this race. With Hagita leading, Delru just 4 seconds behind, Foss is 9 seconds behind. There's your podium, and we are right where I predicted to be at the end of the race, which is in a top 5 position, 54 seconds behind the last rider, who is within a minute. Gonzalez Albiol into the top 10. Martin Guerrero still on the edge of the top 10, just a few seconds behind. And wouldn't that be something? If we finished exactly where we're at, I think I would be pretty happy with that. If we were 4th, 8th, and 11th, all 3 guys can time trial, And that's going to be an advantage later on. Now, of course, I'm going to be sacrificing Gonzalez Albiol and Martin Guerrero repeatedly for Karaman, so they might not stick around in the position they're in. But if things turned out this way, I'd be pretty happy with that. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.